Hi, I want to talk about the adoption fees for rescue pets. I have often overheard people talk about how much these organizations charge to adopt a pet, and they complain that it's too expensive. But what most people don't, well, maybe not most people, but what a lot of people don't realize is that these fees cover spay, neuter, any medical or dental care this animal might require, the food, because these animals need to be fed, and microchipping that most organizations will provide. And if you were to purchase a dog from a breeder or cat from a breeder, you're going to pay hundreds and over $1,000 to just purchase this animal, and it does not include spay or neutering if you choose to do that. And most breeders will provide, the initial puppy shots, but once you adopt that animal, then you're responsible for the remainder of their shots. And microchipping, a lot of them don't provide microchipping. So really, when you adopt from a shelter, you're getting a really good deal. Oftentimes, these shelters and organizations run with high debt because of veterinarian bills and food, and they have their buildings that they're renting. They have to pay rent and they have to pay utilities, and there's a lot of expense in taking care of animals that are often abandoned by irresponsible pet owners. And then if these animals are not spayed or neutered, then there's a high risk of these animals reproducing, and then we have more neglected and abandoned animals that people don't want to take care of or cannot afford to take care of. But next time you think about the cost of adopting a rescue animal, please consider the expense that of taking care of these animals and running the actual organization. And oftentimes, rescues will also provide a discount if you adopt a second animal with the first one that you might adopt. And there's oftentimes that rescues will offer specials at certain times, especially if they have certain animals that have been overlooked often at adoption events. So they want to make sure that their animals go into good homes, but they also want to try to make it affordable for people who maybe truly cannot afford to pay outright the cost of adopting an animal. But if they can prove that they can take care of the animal and provide food and shelter for that pet, then it wouldn't hurt to talk to the directors at these organizations. They might be willing to work with you, but the goal is to make sure these animals go into good homes, because many of them have already been neglected and abandoned, and the last thing we want is for these animals to continue to be abandoned and neglected. But yes, so next time you want to consider adopting a shelter pet, consider the cost that goes into caring for that animal, including running the organization, and also consider that a lot of these organizations count on fosters who are not paid to help care for animals that where there is no space available at some of these rescues. But a lot of these rescues also depend on donations to help run the organization and still, have continual debt. And they will run fundraisers also to help keep the organizations running. And the one that I primarily volunteer for, they have a thrift store too that raises funds to help take care of the animals. But there are so many abandoned animals, and just about daily, most of the rescues are contacted about another animal or a litter of kittens or another litter of puppies that was found on the side of the road. There's so many sad stories, and there's also the stories where the pets, their owners have died, and those are the really sad cases. And I've actually seen ones where the owners went to prison. So those animals, or many of them, were likely very well cared for, but because of life circumstances, they find themselves in the shelters looking for a new home. But there's so many animals that need homes, and they're all, most of them are amazing and will be, could make lifelong loyal companions, and they're worth every penny that these organizations will charge. So anyway, that's my tip for today. Thank you.